Hello, this is Matthew. I want to share about the quality of love called accepting. It's the first one, and so I'm a little rusty. Please forgive that. Not a great quality video production, but I'm hoping that the content is going to be more relevant than that in the future. We'll hope to improve our quality of the videos too, and my quality of speaking. Okay, so this is called accepting, and accepting, it means to tolerate or submit to something undesired. Accepting something, right? So Eckhart Tolle, he says, he's kind of a famous guru, really interesting guy, says a lot of very, really good things. It's kind of like the idea with accepting is this is it. So this is it right now. I'm dealing with the here and now. I'm not dealing with how I hope things will be, how things are supposed to be, how things used to be, how I want things to be or how I even need things to be, but really how they are. And when we get over that hump, when we start living in the real world instead of the world that we want it to be, then we have a chance to deal with it in a realistic way, and it takes away a lot of angst and anger. My father, he's passed away now, but I remember when he was driving, you get so angry, the way people would drive. Guess who? Me too. I would do that too. I went to Thailand. I lived in Thailand for several years, and I would see the way people would drive in Thailand. And they have a whole different approach to the way you're supposed to drive. Same thing in China. When I was in China, people would do things that just you can't really do in America. It causes road rage, and there becomes this habit of people not accepting the way other people drive. The funny thing about China was there's a lot less anger on the road. People just don't get angry. Somebody would pull something, they cut in front of you or whatever, they're going the wrong way, the wrong side of the street, all kinds of things, stopped in the middle and blocking traffic or ignoring red lights or ignoring stops, ignoring every possible law that there is happens in Thailand, happens in China. When people do that, though, all the drivers do that so much of the time that they just accept it. So their anxiety level in traffic is really low, and their aggravation with each other is really, really low. In America, although people are much, much better behaved drivers, 90% better behavior on the road, people get aggravated, people lose their patience, and people get upset. Why? Because they don't accept what this other guy is doing. So this is a key thing. It means accepting means embracing instead of resisting. And of course, not only driving, but every aspect of life. This could be with our mate, this could be with our kids, it could be with our parents, it could be with our teachers, it could be with our boss, it could be with the government. It could be with the way a book is designed, or the way the water bottle makes noise when you're drinking, or whatever. It could be a million things that could really bother you that you don't accept. Okay. But realistically then, what do we just do? We just become apathetic toward everything? No, there's a balance there, right? There's the complete embracing and accepting of things the way they are, but there's a striving to improve. So, if we're complaining, if we're saying, no, I don't like the way the dog is barking next door. Every morning at 5 a.m. it's barking. I've got a dog that barks here sometimes. And I learned to accept it. And it's not that often, it's not that big of a problem, and I don't need to get upset about it. So, when we accept, then there's something we can do about it. I went over and I talked to the lady. It's her dog. I said, wow, your dog seems really unhappy. She said, yeah, he doesn't want to be outside. He wants to be inside. And I said, oh, I see. Yeah, because I hear him barking a lot. And she could tell that I wasn't really happy about it. But at that point, I had really almost completely really accepted it. So I wasn't putting any pressure on her. I wasn't putting any judgment on her or the dog. I understood the dog didn't like being there. The dog is chained up to her front porch, and he can't go anywhere, and it drives him crazy. So she came back with, okay, well, I'll put him in the back. I said, wow, that would be great because I hear him a lot, and he seems really unhappy. She goes, well, he doesn't really like it in the back either, but maybe you won't hear him as much. I said, okay, well, that's really great. I really appreciate it. And so through my acceptance, instead of how I have been and how I really can be, really aggravated and critical, and that energy comes across, even if you're smiling. Even if you're trying to speak quietly or calmly or whatever, that energy still comes across in how somebody's feeling. You can still kind of get a sense that they're upset. So, accepting embracing, allowing things to be how they are for right now, so that we can either say, okay, not my concern, I'm going to just let that happen, or I see that this is happening, and now I have a calmness and I've got an acceptance, and I'm not fighting it, but I do want to improve it. I do want to do something about it in a positive and a nurturing and an accepting and in a compassionate way, as opposed to not accepting, which makes us aggravated, makes us angry. So here's the distinction, right, about acceptance. How we can have acceptance in our lives. How we can accept things for the way they are. There are a few ways. One is to realize that things could always be worse. That's one way to look at it. If you're really having trouble accepting things, hey, it could be a whole lot worse, so appreciate it that it's not much worse than it is. And we can always learn and grow, too, through hardship. When we have a challenge, there's something aggravating us, or something really bothering us, we can really learn from that once we accept it, once we get over the hump of the anger, the frustration, the resistance, and we say, okay, I see it for what it is, I see what's going on here, I accept it, and I want to do something about it. We can be creative, we can be positive, we can be constructive, and we can create some real results. So learning how to accept is a way that we can be loving to ourselves, to the world around us. All right, thanks so much for listening.